What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, yesterday the Detroit Lions had a little bit of news come out as they are officially looking to hire former NFL wide receiver Antwaan Randle to be the new wide receivers coach in Detroit. Now, Antwaan Randle was a longtime NFL veteran at the wide receiver position, and in today's video I wanted to go over his qualifications, his history, and why I think this is yet another solid hire by the Detroit Lions. Now, before we get into talking about Antwaan Randle being the new wide receivers coach in Detroit, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes just 2 seconds out of your day to do so. It's quick, it's free, it's easy. I would be super appreciative for it. It would help the channel out more than you could know. So if you could take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe, I'd be super appreciative for it. With all that being said, and without any further ado, let's get into talking about our new wide receivers coach and what he brings to this wide receiver group in Detroit. Now, as I said, Antwaan Randle was a longtime NFL veteran at the wide receiver position. He played 5 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers and 4 seasons with the Washington Redskins. In his career, Antwaan Randle totaled 370 receptions for 4,467 yards with 15 touchdowns. Obviously, threw one of the most iconic touchdown passes in Super Bowl history in Super Bowl 40 that took place in Detroit, ironically enough. And I mean, overall, Antwaan Randle was just a very solid wide receiver. He was never an elite guy at wide receiver. He was never a Calvin Johnson, a Randy Moss, a Jerry Rice, but he was always a very solid weapon, a very solid wide receiver in the NFL, and brought a lot of potential and brought a lot of efficiency to the team that he was on. Now, shortly after Antwaan Randle hung up his cleats and retired from playing the game of football, he signed to be a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coaching staff as an offensive assistant in 2019. Now, it's not exactly clear and it's not exactly stated what Antwaan Randle was in charge of. It's not exactly stated what he was working with and who he was working with within the Buccaneers organization and what players he was coaching and assisting. However, it is safe to assume, and it is relatively likely, that Antwaan Randle, a former NFL wide receiver, was likely working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers for the most part. And with that being the case, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a very good wide receiver core this year. Their wide receivers played very well this year, obviously being one of the better wide receiver cores in football and obviously helping that Tampa Bay team make it all the way to Super Bowl 55. Mike Evans led the receiving team for the Buccaneers with 1,006 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns. Chris Godwin was just a little bit behind that with 840 yards and 7 touchdowns in just 12 games. Scotty Miller totaled over 500 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season. Antonio Brown in his 8 games had 483 yards and 4 touchdowns, and Tyler Johnson, the rookie, had 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, there's not a lot more to say about that Buccaneers receiving core. I mean, they were just a very solid, very deep, very talented group. Mike Evans, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, arguably. Chris Godwin, top 15, top 20 wide receiver in the NFL. Antonio Brown, probably a very similar situation with Chris Godwin, top 15, top 20 wide receiver in the NFL right now. Scotty Miller, one of the most underrated wide receivers in football. I mean, Tyler Johnson showed a lot of flashes as a rookie and made some real nice plays in the playoffs. Like, this receiving core for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was incredibly effective last season, even with an aging Tom Brady. And not that Tom Brady is necessarily a bad quarterback, but he is not like he's Matthew Stafford. It's not like he's Patrick Mahomes that's going to air the ball out down the field and, it's not like Tom Brady's going to be super high in deep throw attempts every single year. I mean, that's just never been his game. That's never been what he's good at. That's never been what he's done. So the fact that the receiving core was still that effective with a quarterback that doesn't necessarily always throw the ball deep down the field speaks even more volumes about how good that wide receiving core was last season. Now, as a former player, Antwaan Randle is going to know how to be successful in the NFL. Obviously, he was a former NFL player, as I've mentioned. He was a very solid solid NFL player. I mean, he was a decent wide receiver. Like, I wouldn't say he was a great wide receiver, but he was a very solid one in the NFL for 9 seasons. So he knows what it takes to be successful. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to catch the ball with your hands and not with your body. He knows how to get open. He knows how to create separation. He knows the nuances and the techniques of the game that are gonna help our wide receivers elevate that much more next season. And I know it's a meme, and I know that this whole joke is going around the NFL that, oh, the Lions are signing all these former players. They're gonna have the greatest coaching staff. You know, if their coaching staff ever has to play another coaching staff in a football game, they're gonna be dominant. You know, there's all these jokes, all these different things going around that the Lions are signing all these former players to be positional coaches for the team. However, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for Detroit. I mean, who better to teach your NFL players? Who better to teach your wide receivers how to run routes, catch footballs, and get open and create separation than a wide receiver that did that in the NFL for 9 years? A former player that played at the highest level of competition and did so at a very efficient level for 9 seasons. Who better to teach and groom a young quarterback as their quarterback coach than a guy that had proven success in the NFL before him? Who better to develop our young, talented running backs than a guy that's played running back before and a guy that knows how to do these things at the highest level of the game? Like, I know that it's a meme, and I know this whole, thing is going around that, oh, the Lions are signing all these former players. The Lions, their quarterback's coach was a quarterback. Their wide receivers coach was a wide receiver. All of these different things. Truly, I think that is a good way to go. And I know some people are going to say, why are you hiring all of these unproven players just because they were former players? Why are you hiring all these coaches just because they were former players? In my opinion, who is more qualified to teach an NFL wide receiver how to run routes than a former NFL wide receiver? Who is more qualified to teach a young, talented wide receiver how to create separation and get an open space in the NFL than a guy that did it for 9 seasons at the highest level of competition? Who are the players going to respect more than a former NFL wide receiver, a former Super Bowl champion, and a guy that has competed at the highest level and won the Super Bowl? The narrative that the Lions are bringing in all these coaches and all of these former players is not necessarily a bad thing for the Detroit Lions. And again, I think this is a very solid hire for Detroit. I think Antwaan Randle, as I said, was a very solid wide receiver when he was playing. He knows the nuances of the game. He knows how to create separation, knows how to get open, knows how to catch the football, knows what routes to run, knows, where to go versus certain leverage. He knows how to read certain leverages, and he's going to teach that to our wide receivers, whoever they may be next season. I think this is a very solid hire by the Detroit Lions, and actually, I don't think he's going to be acting just as the wide receivers coach. Antwaan Randle was a very good punt and kick returner for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as being a wide receiver. And in fact, in the 2005 season, Antwaan Randle was awarded a first-team All-Pro nod as a punt returner. Now, you might say, well, what does that have to do with the Detroit Lions? The Detroit Lions have a guy named Jamal Agnew, who is also a former All-Pro kick and punt returner for them, who I believe could benefit immensely from the addition of Antwaan Randle. Obviously, Jamal Agnew is a very new wide receiver, a very athletically gifted wide receiver, has a lot of very good speed, a lot of very good ability to make people miss in the open space, and is a very dangerous player after the catch for the Detroit Lions. However, Jamal Agnew's biggest contribution to the team is his kick and punt return skills. Obviously, a All-Pro in his first season in the NFL, has not gone a single season of his career without a kick or punt return touchdown. He's a very dangerous returner. He's a top 5 returner in the NFL, and I believe he can get that much better with the addition of Antwaan Randle, a guy who, again, very similarly to the wide receiver thing, has been an All-Pro kick and punt returner before. A guy that has been very successful on special teams that can not only help Jamal Agnew develop as a wide receiver, but can also help him develop some of the flaws that he has in his punt and kick return game. So with that being the case, with another former player being brought in to coach up this Lions team, I believe this is the final hire they will make. I believe every other position now is filled for the Detroit Lions. I believe this was the last hire they were looking to make to round off this new regime, this new coaching staff, and this new idea and this new image of Detroit. So with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Again, I wanted to update you guys on the news of the new coach in Detroit. They have officially hired, or they are officially looking to hire, former NFL wide receiver Antwaan Randle to come in and help out our wide receivers and potentially Jamal Agnew in the kick and punt return game. Now, with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about the hire down in the comments below. I think it's a very successful hire. I think it's a very solid hire by our Detroit Lions. But again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. With all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. If there is Lions news before tomorrow, then I will obviously make a video letting every single person know. But until then, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you all guys tomorrow in another video. Thank you all for watching. Bye, guys.